From the dawn of human civilization, no empire has ever survived in isolation. Trade routes, those veins and arteries connecting distant lands, have been the lifeline of nations. They brought wealth, innovation, and power. But they also brought war, disease, and decline. This is the story of how trade routes shaped our world, building empires and, eventually, breaking them. The birth of trade, Mesopotamia and Egypt. In ancient Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, commerce was central to survival. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers became natural highways for exchanging grain, pottery, and bronze. The very stability of early cities like Ur and Babylon depended on trade. Yet wealth also made them tempting targets. Armies marched not just for conquest, but for control of these trade arteries. Egypt, meanwhile, thrived on the Nile. But their ambitions went beyond the river. Through the Red Sea and Indian Ocean, they traded with Africa and Asia. Gold from Nubia, ivory from East Africa, spices from India, all flowed into Egypt's markets. This trade enriched the pharaohs, financing temples and monuments. But dependency on long routes also exposed Egypt to pirates, foreign invaders, and shifting global currents. The Roman world, power and overreach. Rome became the center of a vast economic network. Roads, aqueducts, and ports stitched together a system that stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia. Luxury goods came pouring in, silk from China, spices from India, and glass from Syria. Roman elites flaunted wealth imported across thousands of miles. But trade came at a cost. Protecting sea lanes from pirates and maintaining faraway garrisons drained the empire's treasury. As Roman borders stretched thinner, the economy buckled. Historians often point to military defeats, but beneath those battles lay economic overreach. The empire collapsed under the weight of its own trade networks. The Silk Road and China's gamble. The Silk Road was not a single road but a vast web of routes linking east and west. From Xi'an in China to Antioch in Syria, caravans carried silk, porcelain, jade, and paper. In return came horses, glassware, and precious metals. More importantly, ideas traveled. Buddhism spread from India into China, while technologies like papermaking spread westward. Yet trade was a double-edged sword. The same caravans that carried wealth also carried plague. In the 14th century, the Black Death moved along Silk Road routes, devastating populations across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. For the Mongol Empire, which once thrived by uniting East and West, the plague weakened its foundations. The Islamic Golden Age and maritime dominance. In the Middle Ages, Arab and Persian merchants ruled the seas. The Indian Ocean trade network was the largest in the world, linking Africa, the Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia. Spices, textiles, and knowledge flowed through bustling ports like Basra, Aden, and Calicut. This wealth fueled the Islamic Golden Age, funding science, philosophy, and medicine. But power attracts challengers. When Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope in 1498, he found a direct sea route to India. Overnight, centuries-old networks weakened. European ships armed with cannons soon dominated the seas, displacing Arab merchants who had once controlled the flow of global trade. The age of colonies, wealth, and exploitation. The 16th to 19th centuries were the age of empires built on trade. Spain and Portugal plundered the Americas, shipping back silver and gold to Europe. Crops like maize, potatoes, and tobacco transformed diets worldwide. But along with goods came exploitation. The transatlantic slave trade remains one of history's darkest chapters, fueled entirely by profit. Britain perfected this system. By controlling sea routes and choke points like the Strait of Gibraltar and later the Suez Canal, Britain became the world's superpower. The phrase, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," reflected their global reach, powered by commerce. Yet rebellions in colonies and competition from rising powers showed how fragile such control could be. America and modern trade routes. America's rise also rested on trade. Ports like Boston and New York became centers of commerce, while the cotton trade tied the South to global markets. Conflicts over resources, industry, and economics shaped the Civil War and the nation's trajectory. In the modern era, artificial trade routes became symbols of power. The Panama Canal and Suez Canal shortened journeys, saving empires and corporations both time and fortune. But these arteries are also weak points. In 2021, when a single container ship blocked the Suez Canal, billions of dollars were lost daily. One ship reminded the world how fragile our trade networks remain. The eternal lesson of trade. History reveals a pattern. Trade routes bring life, wealth, and innovation, but also conflict, greed, and collapse. Mesopotamia, Egypt, Rome, the Silk Road, the caliphates, colonial Europe, and even modern superpowers, all rose on the back of commerce. And all stumbled when they lost control of it. Empires are not built solely by armies or rulers. They are built on the flow of goods and ideas. But once those flows shift, or are disrupted, the greatest powers can crumble overnight. Trade routes are not merely paths across land and sea. They are the lifelines of civilization, the roads on which empires are born, thrive, and eventually fall.